Guys, before we jump onto obviously the podcast and the latest sporting news, I wanted to sort of give a moment to say rest in peace to Dennis Cometti, AFL commentator, legend of the game, passed away this morning at the time of this recording due to some health issues that he's been battling with over the years. And, for those that have known Dennis Cometti, I grew up obviously watching footy and him being the main commentator on Channel 7, Channel 9. And, it's quite sad because he's obviously a legend to the game and honestly, and a legend to the country, quite frankly. So, I go back to a time where you look at that frame right there, the 2010 team, where he had that iconic line when Heath Shaw smothered Nick Rewalt, saying he came out like a librarian, you never heard him. Like, just moments like that is what was super iconic about the man. And, he was able to really make AFL entertaining, especially in that time. So, just a quick announcement there that he's obviously passed away. Condolences to all his families. And we are talking about AFL, and the season does start tomorrow. So I feel as though it would be the right thing to sort of mention before we get onto the podcast there. So, yeah, it's a sad one, but again, we'll continue on.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Huddle Within podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in once again to another episode. We're going to be talking about the latest sporting news. The AFL season is starting tomorrow, which is really exciting. So we're going to preview the games that are going to be happening opening round. But before that, if you do enjoy the episode today, or if you do enjoy the content in general, feel free to subscribe wherever you do get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube as well. Obviously trying to grow the podcast as much as you can. Once again, if you guys have come from the Zulu Ballers page, really appreciate it. We're still on the road to Super Rare, Messi and Mbappe. And we're up to probably day 12. That's coming out tomorrow. And hopefully we can get that soon, because it has been a bit of a dire run at the moment. Getting a lot of classics. It's great because we're adding to our collection. We've only had one duplicate so far, which is great. We're making progress on our pitch, but we're very far off Super Rare, Messi and Mbappe. And I'm seeing a lot of people starting to get it now. And it's making me, one, very jealous, but two, more sort of keen on getting it, because, there's not too many that are going to be available if people keep getting it. So I'm trying to be one that does, but we're still pretty much a long way away from it. So continue to watch those if you do support it. We will eventually get there. I do strongly believe that. It's just a matter of when, and that's what we're waiting for. But otherwise, again, we're here for the sporting news. We'll get straight into it. AFL season starts tomorrow. Extremely excited. The first game we got is Sydney taking on Carlton. So that's the opening round matchup. Look, I'm not a fan of round 0. They've changed it to opening round now. I don't think it's anything different to round 1, and you're missing the classic Richmond and Carlton day 1 game there. So I don't really understand why they have an opening round, but nevertheless, obviously still excited for AFL season to begin. So that game, I've got Sydney winning by at least 4 goals. I think they're going to run the floor with Carlton. Obviously, I'm not a big Carlton fan. You can obviously tell by my nice little Collingwood frame over there, up the Pies. But Carlton are going to get smacked up. They've obviously made some really good acquisitions. They've got rid of Charlie Kerner, which is the interesting storyline here. He's going to kick at least 3, surely, against his old mob. That's going to be the main storyline there. He's obviously got traded there. And, Sydney looked like a good outfit. They didn't have a good season last year, which means they're primed for a good season this year. It seems as though every time Sydney have a losing run the season before, they end up making a deep finals run the year after. They don't get to the granny, but that's been sort of the history with the Swans. So, if their team stays healthy, that could be really solid. They've got a really strong core in the midfield. Grundy's been killing it in the ruck, and now you've got the likes of Charlie Kerno there, potentially getting them a lot of goals. And it's probably been their best key forward since Buddy. So, we'll be excited. I'm sure that he's thinking about this game long and hard. So I'm going to go for the Sydney Swans by about 24 points there, win for them. I've got Gold Coast tomorrow against Geelong as well at Gold Coast at their stadium. So I've got Gold Coast winning it by maybe 1 or 2 goals. I think Geelong are a very good outfit, but I think they were exposed at the grand final. And can they come back from it? If any team can, it can be Geelong. They've had a really amazing record of going into prelims as well. I do suspect Geelong will give them a competition. I just think Gold Coast are prime for a deep finals run to a point where I reckon they are sneaky, sleepy, dark horse grand final contenders. That's my take. They get Jamara in, they get a few other acquisitions in as well. So honestly, it's exciting to be a Gold Coast fan, if I'm honest. And I think with Dimmer as the coach and the players they've got, Matt Rao coming off a Brownlow year, Noah Anderson, who's just elite, King as well, just scoring goals. Like he could be a case for a Coleman too. And they've just got Jamara, who I think will he play round one or opening round? I don't know. But if he's added to that list of the forward line they've got, then that's going to be a massive problem for whoever comes up against them. So look out for the Gold Coast Suns all season. I have them beating Geelong here by a couple goals. I think it'll be a really good game. I'm really excited for this one. I'm honestly more excited for that game than the Carlton Sydney one. But otherwise, we're in for a good Friday night footy match between Gold Coast and Geelong. And then we've got GWS taking on Hawthorn. GWS have had Tom Green injured for the season. A few injuries as well, niggling there. Hawks have upgraded. And, they've come off a prelim last year, beating Adelaide at their home. So what's to say they won't beat GWS here? I've got Hawks winning by maybe 4 goals as well, 3 or 4 goals, I would say. I think, they're a better outfit at the moment. They're looking really strong. And, I'm excited to see what Hawthorn can do. Obviously, they missed out on Zach Merritt. They didn't necessarily need him. It would have been a very good addition to have, of course. But the Hawks are going to be building off their last 2 seasons, which have been pretty solid. They made a semi-final or prelim. Can they make it to the next stage, being the grand final? We'll obviously have to wait and see. But, exciting to see how Hawks will go. I think GWS are obviously a good outfit, but those injuries are really, really concerning too. And then we've got Brisbane taking on the Doggies, the reigning back-to-back premiers at the Gabba taking on the Doggies. Now, I've got them by 6 goals here. I think it's a comfortable victory for Brisbane, let's be honest. Unless something crazy happens, the Doggies, they're always going to be floating around that first round finals exit. And now that they've got play-in, they're probably primed to potentially make a play-in. That's where they're at. And I just don't see them beating this outfit away from home, especially the fact that they've picked up Oscar Allen as well. I don't think Draper's playing, but when he comes back, they're going to be solid too. So I think Brisbane will be too good on the day, and, it'll be a very comfortable victory there. And then we've got the first game at the MCG. We've got the Pies taking on the Saints. And the Saints are the favourites. They've obviously picked up a lot of players. My excitement's gone up because every time I put Collingwood in my mouth, it just gets me excited. I'm really keen to see how the Pies go this season. I think our window is slowly closing, unfortunately, but I'm really hoping they can prove me wrong. I'm quite a pessimistic Collingwood fan, I must say. Don't mind me being pessimistic. I still love the Pies, and I still hope they can do some damage this season. But it'll have to start with beating this new look St Kilda, who, look, they've had one of the probably best off seasons we've seen in a long time. Getting in Flanders, De Koning, Silvani, and Ryan, like that is solid. There's some 4 solid players to add to their core, with probably arguably a big Brownlow medalist favourite in the Zaya, Wengering Malera. So, Saints are unreal, but give me the Pies. I think the Pies get it done by a goal. I think it'll be a close one. I think it'll be back and forth. I think there'll be times where St Kilda will look strong, but won't take the opportunities, and the Pies will be able to get it done there. I think I have to be biased. I'd love to go to the game. Unfortunately, got a wedding, but I'll be definitely watching the game at the wedding. That's for sure. But I'm really excited for Collingwood this season, how we're going to look. Obviously, I'm fortunate to get out in a prelim last year. And, if things went well, we could have potentially won that and won the granny. We were looking so good for the first half of the year. I don't really know what happened with us. Hopefully we can get back to that form and just show that we're by far the best team in that comp. That's what I'm thinking and hoping. But otherwise, Pies, I back us, man. I think everyone's looking at St Kilda being the better team and all these acquisitions, and I think Pies will just shut them straight up with a close victory. And honestly, that's what I'm hoping. But it's a good test to see how St Kilda look, because I think St Kilda do have a team that will make the finals. I just don't know how deep they will go. But they have set up for this moment. They've finally had a really strong off-season. So can they, bounce on this and capitalize with the new players they've got? But otherwise, that is your opening round predictions. I've got Sydney, I've got Gold Coast, I've got Hawks, I've got Brisbane, I've got the Pies in opening round. I've got a tipping comp as well. So hopefully that does some magic too. But I'll definitely be providing my sort of tipping there. Guys that are listening to this, that in my top competition, don't listen, because that's exactly who I'm going to be tipping every single week. So if you're keen on hearing footy content every week, breaking down teams that I think is going to win, just let me know. If you love it, I'm going to put it up, because footy season is well and truly back.
Just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Huddle Within podcast. If you do enjoy episodes like this, or this episode specifically, be sure to leave a comment and a 5-star review wherever you do get your podcasts. It'd be also great if you could like and subscribe wherever you do get your podcasts, so we can continue to show this out to people that see sports exactly the way that you do. But without further ado, let's get straight back into it.
Moving on to EPL, we had the Wolves defeating Liverpool. Wolves are just playing spoiler right now. They've guaranteed relegated, but the last month, they've been on a tear, really causing upsets. Obviously, we know about the Arsenal comeback. We know about the victory against Aston Villa, and now we've got them defeating Liverpool. Like, are the Wolves the spoiler team this season? Because I think if I'm a team fighting for Champions League or the league, they're the last team I want to compete with right now, because they're playing with nothing to lose. And it's really good to see. Obviously, too little, too late. They're not coming out. They are penciled in relegation squad, but they're performing like a Premier League team, which is great, because the first maybe 20 games or so, they were literally a championship team. And I genuinely thought that they weren't going to win a single game. So now they're on good track. They're in good form. They're going to finish last, but you know what? It's all about playing spoiler and seeing how they can manipulate the season and ruin other people's seasons, just like in Liverpool's, just like Aston Villa's, who, look, Liverpool, they're not looking good. They once again showed lacks in defense. Like, that first goal was just simply rubbish. And then the deflection, you got to do a better job there, if I'm honest. Salah breaks his goal drought, hasn't scored since November. So that's probably a big plus for them. They're going to need that in the Champions League. I still think the way they play and their fans and being at Anfield, I still think they're going to be able to sort of have a deep Champions League run, as painful it is to say. But I'm not confident with them against Galatasaray. I think Galatasaray at home with their fans are going to just propel that team to potentially give Liverpool a surprise victory or surprise defeat. So just look out for that. Champions League obviously has come. Liverpool are taking on Galatasaray, Tottenham taking on Atletico, Chelsea taking on PSG, Man City taking on Real Madrid, Arsenal taking on Leverkusen. And I'm only talking about the teams that are playing in the Premier League for now. But Liverpool's side of the bracket looks a lot more difficult than Arsenal's side. And Arsenal literally have a real clear path to potentially a Champions League final, which is crazy, because they're also competing for the league. They do have a tough task tomorrow against Brighton away from home. And you know what? If there's anyone that can steal points off them, I feel like Brighton can definitely do it. While City taking on a potential relegated side, Nottingham Forest, who are looking to stay up, have sacked 2 coaches in one season because of their stupid owner. But they're in prime. And like I said, when you sign players like Guy and Semenyo mid-season, and they've just come in, look like beasts, like, how can you not think that City can potentially snatch the league? Especially the fact that they just have to win all their games to win it. Literally, it's on them. They have control of the title. They beat Arsenal and they go undefeated. They don't drop any points. They will win the league. So Arsenal are sitting nervously at 5th, with City having a game in hand. So technically it's a 2-point gap. But like I said, they still got to verse each other, and, you know, it's close. It's between them. United's 3rd. They've got Newcastle tomorrow. That's going to be exciting. Hopefully we can get the victory there. I think we're in a roll at the moment. We obviously won 2-1 against Crystal Palace. Bruno Fernandes is making his case for the player of the season. Like, let's be honest, he's leading in goals and assists. He's by far destroying everyone in chances created. The second person is Declan Rice. He's destroying everyone. He's got over 75 chances created for the season, which is mental. He's leading the assists. Like, is he not one of the best midfielders, number 10s in the world right now? Like, let's be honest. Like, we're going to all laugh and sit there and bag United, Banter Club. But ever since, obviously, Carrick's come over, the new manager bounce syndrome is back. And Bruno Fernandes playing in his position, honestly, he's unbelievable. Like, him as an 8, no good. He was literally about to get sold, but now he's playing as a 10, and he's just looking incredible. And I think he must make the team of the season, at least for the Premier League. But he's in contention for player of the season, especially if United can finish 3rd, which, like, they're in prime position to do that, then that is a really impressive season for us. And you got to look at the results we've dropped as well. We had Bournemouth drawing, we drew with Wolves, we've lost to Everton, we lost to West Ham. You win those games and you're in the title race. And that's nuts. look, everyone's going to want Carrick to get the job, but I'm not sold on it particularly yet because I still think there is so many deep-rooted issues within the club. And also we need to consider the fact that we're only playing once a week, and that's a big advantage for us. Most of these teams around us are playing other competitions. They're playing in Europe. So like we have to consider that too. How can United perform when we go to Europe? Can we be able to consistently perform like this in the Premier League? I'm not sure. But what I will say is Bruno's been unbelievable. Cobby has made his case to get back in the England squad, which I'm very happy about. Like I said, I freaking love Cobby Manu, and I think he's just doing wonders. So yeah, it's nothing but positive signs for United. But at the same time, it's hard to say how good we'd be with more competitions. But also, shout out to Benjamin Sesko, who's been in top form at the moment. We've been waiting for a striker to be able to score in consecutive games. I think it's 6 in 7, which is quite crazy, let's be honest. And, scoring headers, being prolific, that's what we want. That's what we need from a Manchester United striker. And you've got Mbumo and Cunha mature up front, just helping the line as well. Premier League proven, middle-aged, well, not 50, but mid-20s, solid, mature footballers that we probably need at the moment. So it's very hard for players to get spots, but that's what we want to see. And, I'm liking how things are going with United, so I can't complain. Newcastle tomorrow will be a test. I think we can defeat them, but otherwise, if we don't, we're obviously not taking advantage of the fact that Liverpool have lost. And, tomorrow will be huge for Man City and Arsenal. They're playing at the same time. That will reflect on what's going on with the league as well. So Premier League is getting spicy. We love a good midweek game as well. Like, how can we not? And, we'll continue to be supporting and watching the Prem as well as we get closer. It's about 2 months left of the season. We've got about 9 or 10 games to go, depending on which team you're looking at. So just look out for it. Match day 29, it says. So 9 football games to.
Just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Huddle Within podcast. If you do enjoy episodes like this, or this episode specifically, be sure to leave a comment and a 5-star review wherever you do get your podcasts. It'd be also great if you could like and subscribe wherever you do get your podcasts, so we can continue to show this out to people that see sports exactly the way that you do. But without further ado, let's get straight back into it.
Yeah. And then we'll finish off with the Elimination Chamber. We have the results in Randy Orton winning the men's, Rhea Ripley winning the women's, AJ Lee winning the Intercontinental Women's title, and CM Punk retaining the World Heavyweight Championship. So a very positive day for those that support all those people and the baby faces, because they all got victories. There was no one that was a heel that got a victory today. Rhea Ripley, after they'd lost the title to the Irresistible Forces, her and Io, this was definitely going to happen. I definitely thought Rhea Ripley was going to win. Obviously, she's massive in the women's division right now, and you need her to be at WrestleMania. She's going to be taking on Jade Cargill at WrestleMania, so that's going to be really exciting. Jade Cargill is just physically a beast, and I'm interested to see how she goes with someone like Rhea Ripley in the ring, and has she made improvement, because it's been really hard for them to keep Jade on TV longer than 5 minutes, whether it's a promo or it's in ring. So I'm interested to see how she goes with Ripley. AJ Lee beats Becky Lynch, and it looks like she might be moving on from Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Let's see. There is a qualifying match to determine who's going to take on AJ Lee for the Intercontinental Championship. That might be a Raw defense. So just look out for that. I don't see Becky Lynch finishing up with AJ Lee. I reckon they're going to have a WrestleMania program. You've got CM Punk. That's obviously going to be taking on Roman Reigns. And if you heard the promo yesterday, wow, they went real far. It was real personal. CM Punk mentioned Roman's father, which was quite crazy, and Roman was saying some crazy shit too. So if you haven't watched that promo on Raw, that was incredible. And finally, the men's chamber, Randy Orton defeating everyone else and winning the chamber. Drew McIntyre obviously getting involved, which caused him now to defend his title against Cody Rhodes on SmackDown. Randy Orton taking that opportunity. Cody Rhodes still in contention, trying to get a WrestleMania path. So we obviously think there's going to be a multi-man match for the title. But maybe Cody Rhodes beats Drew McIntyre and shit changes. It becomes Randy and Cody. I doubt it. But yes, we have multiple options there. And there's Fatu involved in all this. He's obviously going to be really cut that Cody's got an opportunity before him, as Nick Aldis promised him a chance at Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is just pulling strings right now, pissing everyone off. He's the current champion. We need to see him at WrestleMania. Randy Orton's guaranteed going to WrestleMania. He's going to try to go for championship number 15. It's all happening. It's all happening on WWE. And might I add, because obviously Raw just concluded yesterday as well, Penta is the Intercontinental Champion. So it looks like Finn Balor might not be actually contending for the title. It might be just a standard one-on-one program between Finn Balor and Dom Mysterio. And quite frankly, they don't really need a title. I think Penta deserves it. I think it's good that they're moving off Dominic from the title and getting into sort of personal blood feuds, while Penta can potentially defend the title against someone else, someone that's up and coming. Maybe Javon Evans could get in there. Maybe it might be a multiple wrestling match. We'll have to see. But, things are getting excited. The path to WrestleMania is there. We're about a little bit over a month away till we get there. So, look out for it. Again, this is the time to jump onto WWE. We're so close to WrestleMania. We have matches confirmed in CM Punk and Roman Reigns, in Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley, and in Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer. So that is already locked in. Randy Orton is locked in for WrestleMania as well. Everyone else is trying to fight for a place in the card. It's a 2-night show. We're really keen to see it. And, we'll obviously break down WrestleMania when it comes closer as well. But otherwise, that has been your sporting news for the week. As you can tell, I haven't spoken about NBA. I think I'll get to NBA come playoff time, because right now there's not really much to report on. This is where the season starts getting terrible, and even the Wizards are tanking really bad right now. So you sort of know who's going to be in the playoffs, but we're just waiting for who's obviously going to be taking on who in the first round, and then obviously that will be exciting. But for now, the regular season is quite stable. But again, this has been another episode of the Huddle Within podcast. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in to all the latest sporting news across AFL, Premier League, and WWE. We'll be back again next week for some more sporting news, as I try to get that word out of my lips. And, let us know what content you do want to look at and enjoy. Guests are getting hard to come by. I will try to get some more over this year. But again, it's been my boy Daniel. You listen to another episode of The Huddle Within, and I'll catch you guys next week. Cheers.
So that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Huddle Within podcast. I appreciate you for tuning in and being part of this community where we go beyond the game and into what really matters. If this episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who sees sports just the way that we do. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on my social medias, which will be linked below. Send in your thoughts and even be part of a future episode. Until next time, keep that passion alive, stay in the huddle, and remember, it's always deeper than the game. Cheers.